And we're back with Cage Chronicles. We had a little bit of a few weeks off because me and James were across over in Japan competing at the Worlds. But today we've got Peter Irving. Pete's been looking after the gym while I've been away. And James is not happy about it. He was very jealous of everyone messaging him saying how good you were.
Yeah.
And he was like trying
I
to...
thought I'm going to get back and have no job. I said, Steve's not going to have a house because you're going to change the...
I was thinking about it. Squatters' rights there.
Yeah. Loving it.
Nice
enjoying the sun.
It's some spot this year. This is a really great place.
Yeah, it is good. Once you come over, like, it's got the best beaches, I think, in Australia, I reckon. And it's just like good weather all year, and it's like pretty cool, chill place. You know, it's obviously bad stuff, but like I think it's pretty cool.
I still haven't been to the beach. Everybody kept telling me, "Oh, you got to go to the beach," and then everybody else telling me, "Oh, you can get eaten by a shark." So I balled it.
You got to get on the bike and not be lazy.
You got to ride down. You got to make Steve take you to the beach Sunday morning.
It's working way too much.
Sunday morning.
Yeah, he's working much, and then what does he say? He goes, "Oh, can you get Pete to do
I already asked him.
You get Pete to do my class tomorrow so I can train with him." I'm like, "Oh, geez, he hasn't done nothing all week."
I've already asked him and he said he can. So
I'm buzzing to come tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So, Pete, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you've got like an amazing gym, Newcastle in the UK. You have world champions underneath you. You've got when did you start martial arts? What year?
Again, I'm probably not the best person to ask about my own history because I've got horrendous amounts of brain damage. Yeah. I can't really remember a great deal of stuff. It would have been around 2000, perhaps 2001. I think I had my professional debut, quote unquote professional, on Cage Warriors 3 in 2003. So I'd been training for some time before that.
So maybe like a couple of years or something.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. It's a big blur, but it was definitely 2003 when Cage Warriors 3 was happening.
So what did you start in?
Well, I started with traditional jiu-jitsu because there wasn't Brazilian jiu-jitsu at the time, the Japanese style of jiu-jitsu, and essentially what it was the Kodokan judo syllabus, but the setups were not sports grip fighting. The setups were all kind of self-defense oriented, like where all the throws would come from like a big bomb overhand right or a baseball bat being swung or something like
self-defense.
It was very self-defense oriented, and I loved it, and it was actually very, very useful for me. But it didn't have a sports element, and I was really, really dying to do competitive fighting. Yeah. And so I ended up leaving this gym and going to find like the places that were doing the sports element. Yeah. So there was a place in Newcastle that's still there. Very fantastic guy called John Atkin, right? Who was a very practical martial artist. His base was ninjutsu, but he was part of the Jeff Thompson and Peter Considine. It's the British Combat Association.
I was part of the British Combat Association. Yeah.
So they had the Animal Day things going on, which really excited me. You know,
tell James about the Animal Day.
So Animal Day, I mean, essentially it was a sort of like semi-professional MMA sort of contest. You know, so the idea being at the time that like people weren't really great scramblers. We didn't really have good wrestling here. So once a fight hit the floor, it was stuck on the floor. So you would start with a pair of boxing gloves. And then when you hit the floor, they would pause the action, pull the boxing gloves off you, and then you would continue there. But it was essentially, it was more or less an MMA fight.
People were getting smashed. It was like more like, so it was a bit like pancras on the floor, people getting smashed in the face, but you're boxing instead, and it was like trying to replicate a fight, Animal Day, and just fight. Right. So they were like, who wants to fight who? You're going to fight him. And you just fight.
And so when they pulled your gloves off on the ground, you were allowed to do some strikes?
Yeah, it was palm strikes.
Like I think open palm was open palm was the rule.
And obviously like grappling.
I think it was punches to the body. So it's a bit like KSBO, that sort of. You punch to the body, but then it was like palm strikes to the head, and then people it was trying to replicate a street fight as best they could without. But when they put the videos up, like back in the day, it was all like people bleeding and falling all over the place and stuff like that. So you got some good injuries.
Yeah. It's like the format sounds quite primitive now, but at the time it was really groundbreaking. Yeah. And a lot of the guys that were doing it were like real tough guys that would have been MMA champions and stuff. Right. Now. Yeah. You know, a lot of them were like people who worked in security and that sort of line of work. So there were legit guys. It wasn't. It was the sort of nascence of the departure from the fantasy martial arts.
Yeah, because it was like Jeff Thompson was like a doorman, and he started writing a book about working on the door, and then he started writing a lot of other books. He's a screenplay right now, isn't he? Or something like that. And then Peter Considine was his business, part of the business, and he was a bodyguard, trained bodyguard and stuff, and he did door work as well. And they were just showing you how it really was, as opposed to like watching a movie and thinking it was like a Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
I met Jeff Thompson. It was weird the way that I met him, because like obviously like I'd had his books and stuff like that. And he was one of the people that got me really interested in practical martial arts. And I was at like a film movie premiere, and somebody starts caressing my ears from behind, like really gently rubbing my ears on. I have a look around, and it's Jeff Thompson. He's giggling, laughing, going like, "I like your ears." I was like, "Fucking hell, it's Jeff Thompson." That was kind of weird. You know, but it was,
it's cool. Yeah.
What a pleasant guy he was, except for weirdly caressing my ears very gently.
I met him a few times. We got our instructors like through the British combat thing, and we always went to seminars, and they were pretty good, because sometimes you go to these seminars, they're called super seminars. You go to them, and one time I had like, is it Neil Adams, the judo guy?
Oh yeah.
So Neil Adams was there. Jeff Thompson was teaching something, that a really high-level kickboxing guy, and then you just do like an hour with each. It was pretty cool. So you'd like get a good look across all different martial arts and stuff.
Yeah, massive fan.
How did you guys meet then?
I met through my brother, and I went up. We trained at Newcastle. At his gym at Newcastle. It's a new location now, isn't it?
We've moved a couple of times.
But we were like fighting at the same time and stuff like that. Like, so I was in the gym with Abdul at one time, and then you started training Abdul and stuff like that. So it's like it was a bit like cross of all these different people.
We were sort of from rival Muay Thai gyms.
Yeah,
rivals, maybe not but we were like, you know, from like the two, like I was from the top Muay Thai gym in Newcastle. You were the top Muay Thai gym in Darlington. Yeah. But the MMA was kind of a bit of a meeting point where like everybody had to cross over, because there was so few bodies on the ground that like. Well, to be honest, the reason why I went down was because I wanted to train with Abdul Muhammad. Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to train with Abdul Muhammad was because I didn't want to fight him. Because I'd seen him on, and we were kind of like on the same sort of scene, but he was too good. Yeah. And I knew Abdul would smash the living daylights out of me, so I thought, I've got a plan. If I go and train with Abdul, then nobody can make me fight him. And I'll say, oh, sorry, you know, we're teammates, or we're buddies, you know. So I managed to meet Abdul. I was at a submission wrestling tournament, and I was just asking him about like single leg finishes or stuff like that, and he showed me like loads and loads of stuff. I was like, oh, Abdul, can I get a lesson off you? And he's like, well, just come down to the gym. So I went down to the gym, like prepared to pay him for a lesson, and then we trained, and I was like, right, well, how much do I owe you? And he was like, oh no, we're just training. You'd be my training partner. Yeah. And I was like, but I didn't really have anything to offer you there. That was a bit of a one-way street. And he was like, no, it's fine. I need training partners. Just come and keep training, you know. Right. So I felt kind of guilty about it at the time, and then it ended up being like this awesome thing that brought me on so much. So I used to go down, because I think I'd fought on a Cage Warriors tournament. You know, it was like a 8-man tournament. I managed to get through the semi-finals, so I won like 600 quid or something like that, which seemed like loads of money at the time. You know, so I'd figured it out that I could buy a train ticket to Darlington and you know, take this time, and it would last me X amount of months, so I could go and train with Abdul every a couple of times a week. You know, that was the.
It was like a very high level wrestler. Like really, like when you're training with him, it was him and then Hassan as well, and like they'd be training and trying to learn how to strike really. We'd set up our little MMA in the gym, my brother and then Martin, and we all started doing teaching MMA, and they were coming in and they were training with them. Like they were trying to learn how to strike, put it together, and they just like suplex you on your head. And you'd be like, oh, just go easy. Oh yeah. Next minute you get suplexed on your head. Like really nice guys, but like just really just jacked. Good wrestlers.
They were, and really good MMA style wrestlers too. Yeah. So this was the massive backfire of it, that I thought like, well, if I go and train with Abdul, then I won't have to fight him. You know? But instead of getting chinned off of him once, and then I could have got away with it, I got chinned off him every couple of days for like a couple of years. Yeah. I probably should have just said like fought and got chinned once, and I would have been all right. But it was actually like, it was really awesome training with Abdul, because some of the fights that I had, like I would have panicked when people got their hands on me and they were so freakishly strong. You know, like I fought Reza Madari. Reza was he's Kamzat's coach now. like really good wrestler from Iran, you know, trained at All Stars in Sweden, you know, and he picked me up over his head in like the first round, smashed me off the floor, and like I never would have experienced that before if I hadn't had the hard training with Abdul, and like because I was thinking, well, this happens to me every, you know, a few times every day, you know, so the fact that like I was prepared for that, I was like, all right, okay, cool, I know how to scramble and I'm okay, and I didn't panic. You know, I fought a guy called Mick Sinclair, who was one of Michael Bisping's fighters, you know, and he put his hands on me and he was crushing me, he was so strong, and I think I would have freaked out. I was like, oh God, this feels like when Abdul grabs me, you know, like, so I was really glad that I'd had the courage at least to, like, you know, even though I was a bit scared of Abdul, like at least I'd had the courage to go and do it and experience it in the training room, so that when I got into the real thing, didn't have the same level of stress. I mean, it was still pretty stressful having Mick Sinclair or Reza like grabbing a hold of me, you know, but at least I was prepared for it because I'd felt that level of training.
I think it's like, I don't know what you went through, but where we were was like the sparring was so hard. Like it was really hard sparring. You get rocked all the time. So like it was just like they came in and sort of like they could sort of like fit in there because like we thought the harder we spar, the more harder we get hit, the more we won't get like freaked out when we're fighting and stuff. And that was for the Thai boxing as well and everything else. So you would get rocked a lot. And obviously, I don't think I would train that way now, but it did get you tough. And it's sort of like, but did get rid of a lot of brain cells.
Yeah.
You get, like as a coach now, with the benefit of hindsight and the maturity that comes with it. So like, the way we used to train was too hard, too regular. Like, but it weeded out the. I mean, it separated the wheat from the chaff. Yeah, like you know, if you weren't tough, you wouldn't survive in that environment. And we probably lost a lot of good technical fighters that could have been champions, you know, because we scared them off. Yeah, but you know, you didn't waste your time with anybody. No, like, you couldn't cut it in those environments if you weren't a real tough guy or you toughened up real quick.
Yeah, 100%. But it was like it was a funny time because MMA was like just, what was it? 1997 was the UFC. Was that 1997?
Was it not earlier than that?
Oh, 93.
Yeah.
93.
93.
Yeah. So yeah, 1993 was the UFC, and then you, obviously there was no internet, so then we'd like buy the videos online and get them posted out to us. Then everyone was watching, like, I think the first one was called UFC 2. Then the second one was actually the original UFC that came out after, when you could order it online. But then you were seeing it and like, oh man, I need to do this jiu-jitsu, I need to do this. So then, but then not anyone was doing jiu-jitsu, so you'd have to travel a bit to do jiu-jitsu or just try and like watch videos and figure it out. So you're always like buying these VHS videos to get ahead. And then we're like, I want to fight MMA. So then run like Paul's promotion, but we're just figuring out the rules. And what do you want to do? Do you want to like, oh, that looks good. We'll do a 10-minute round, then we'll do a 5-minute overtime. And what gloves do you want to wear? Oh, well, what gloves have you got? And it was really like rough and ready. But it was cool to be at the beginning of it all. Yeah. But the talent wasn't the same as what it is now, I think, maybe.
I wonder if the talent wasn't the same. Perhaps, you know, there are some people that are very, very talented athletes that would maybe be attracted to MMA now that wouldn't have beforehand. Maybe they just wouldn't have heard of it. Yeah. So you just never got attracted to it because it just wasn't something that was on your radar. I'm not sure that the talent is terribly different. I really think it's
collective knowledge as well.
I think that's what makes the real difference.
Yeah, the collective. Now it's so easy to get, like, you can just be.
What I meant by the talent is like you'd fight someone like I fought a lad from Holland, and he didn't know any ground game. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like and I knew a bit of ground game. Yeah. So I was able to stand on the feet and sort of trade with him, but when I took him down, he was just panicking and scrambling. I was able to finish him on the floor. So that's what I mean, like a bit like UFC 1 and 2, like where there was like a real, that's a karate guy, that's a boxing guy, that's a jiu-jitsu guy. But like as we've progressed, it's like got really the transitions is so much better.
The disparity between if we're talking about talent in terms of like the God-given athleticism and just potential. Yeah. Probably not so different, but like you say, like the disparity between, you could have somebody who's a very, very skillful fighter, and then the situation changes slightly, and they're clueless. You know, they're making it up as they go along, and somebody else has got knowledge in that area. It doesn't really happen these days, but it's the proliferation of knowledge is just the difference is unreal now from when we started.
You just keep building on. So like I learned from Steve. I'm just built on everyone he's learnt from. So all the things he's learned, and then I learn from that, and then people learn from me, and then so I get the benefit of all the knowledge of all the people and all the years from him. Whereas like at the start, you probably didn't have that. It's like a way less, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember traveling down. Is it Ben? Someone. What's his surname? It was in Doncaster.
Ben Poppled?
Poppled, yeah. So I'd go down a few times to go and see him when he was a purple belt, and it was like an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. But I just do it once a week, one of the other lads, because there's no one else to learn from. Like, there's no black belts. And now, like, every town, every city in UK, I presume, has got, like, heaps of black belts, you know?
Yeah, I think pretty much every major city, you're going to have a selection of good quality black belt academies. Yeah. But it does mean that it's so accessible that people don't cherish it the way they did. Like you're saying, like, you travelled an hour and a half to train with a purple belt.
Yeah.
You're like, which would be absurd now.
Yeah.
Like, there's people who go like, oh, the purple belt's teaching the class tonight. The black belt coach is going, oh, I'll just stay at home. You think like, and it bothers me a little bit because I feel like it was so special.
Yeah.
You know, like that it was a sacred thing, that the knowledge was sacred, where you can just go like, oh, I can just go on YouTube now and I'll just get any amount of information given away to me for free. You know, and it stops people from really cherishing that knowledge. You know, and that's it. Like, of course, the level is globally much better. You've got a much bigger talent pool to draw on. You know, but I'm not sure that those really dedicated people who really do really love it, I'm not sure that it's so much better now. You know, I just feel like it's more, the fact that it's more accessible. Well, what am I trying to say? The fact that it's more accessible means that people oftentimes devalue some of those skills, and it bothers me. You know, in the same way, you know, you're saying like you learned from Stephen learned from all these various masters, you know, and you worked really hard to seek it out. And then now we get kids come along and they've got blue belts and they're talking shit about Hicks and Gracie.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
No, I always say we just stand on the shoulders of everyone before us.
Precisely,
right?
yeah. You are standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah,
you know, and then you get people going like, these world champions of yesteryear, they didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like, they would just be a purple belt today. Oh, I think, who are you?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, even a guy like Keenan Cornelius, you know, like who likes to be a polemic character and grab a headline and stuff like that. And so, okay, well, Keenan Cornelius is in and of his own right a legitimate champion, and I don't agree with the nature of the way that he says what he says, even though he may be in some sense correct. You know, but it's when you get a kid repeating it who's like just a fucking average blue belt, and he starts talking shit about some master, and I think like, say, man, you know, like Mario Sperry or somebody like that, saying they're a pensioner and they could, with one hand, they could spank your ass. So don't talk shit about these people. You know, like the masters, the giants.
I think we kind of spoke about it last night in class, or yesterday. I think it was lunch class, when I was saying, nowadays it feels like it's this thing of like everyone, they want to burn it all down, you know, like I like get rid of the hierarchy, get rid of the ranks, like I'm better than, and especially the guys that are really good, like they'll come in and they're like 1-2 years in, so you're getting the wrestlers come in now to jiu-jitsu, and you know, oh, Geese sucks and IBJJF sucks and this, everything sucks. It's like just throw it all out, and they want to just have no like hierarchy. And I said to you, I was like, no, it's not the way to look at it. It's like you can stand at the front, you can be at the front with these guys as black belts. You just got to put the work in and the time in, and then you get it. Everybody has the opportunity. It's not a you know, it's not like royalty where you're born in and you have to have the privilege of being allowed to be a black belt. It's like you can come from anywhere or anything, and you can work your way up. So it's like,
especially something like jiu-jitsu, you have to be at a certain level. I mean, there's going to be different levels of black belts. And there's going to be some black belts who just kick the crap out of me, and there's going to be ones that can like beat up and stuff like that. But they have to be.
Why did you point at me then?
I didn't know point over there.
He said there's some black belts that can, and kind of like motion that, and then he went, and there's some black belts that I'm going to beat all the time, right? And kind of went like that.
No, I didn't say that. No,
I feel like it.
But what I'm saying is like, you know, like there's all different levels, but man, everyone's put the time in. Like the average is what, like. Said it was 10 years, it's not really 13 years.
13 years.
On now with the saying is the average. Yeah. Some people less, some people more. It took me a lot longer because I started off like lots of no-gi and then moved over to the gi, and then I really want to do it the right way. But I definitely earned it. I'm definitely a professor of it. Again, I maybe know 10% of jiu-jitsu, I think, because I'm always learning new stuff.
Yeah.
But I know the fundamentals. I know a bit more, and I'm like, I bring you over, and I'm excited to learn what you can show me. And then James is to show me new stuff as well. Like, and it's just really cool to do. But some of the blue belts, or like the white belts coming in the blue belt, purple belt, they think they're not listening, or they think they know everything already, or they're seeing something on YouTube, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, you don't know how many years I've trained for, and how many years you've trained for, and you've trained for. So listen to what we're saying. We're breaking stuff down because we've put that many hours on the mat, and we've done that. We've had that much experience, and we're still learning. You know what I mean?
It's very difficult. I think like the nature of social media and the way that instructionals and things like that are more available. It's a net good. It's a net positive for the growth and development of jiu-jitsu. But it does pose us some problems, like in terms of developing an individual, where they can very easily fall down rabbit holes of different things. They can get not even necessarily misled, but they can be taken down a different avenue by somebody who is not their teacher, somebody that they don't have contact with, and they get very excited about, like, oh, I'm doing K-guard and this sort of stuff because I bought this instructional and whatever. And yeah, but you haven't mastered the close guard. You haven't mastered the jumping off point. Please listen to me while I explain to you the foundations of it, and they already want to go off on the niche things or whatever, and end up with big gaps in the game that ultimately stunts the game. And it's very hard, like as a non, like I'm a kind of a non-celebrity trainer, to say like, well, like I'm trying to think of an example without knocking somebody. So like Lachlan Giles is actually very, very, very good. I really rate him. So but a lot of people are very excited to get Lachlan Giles instruction. And I'm sure it's very, very good material, but we are not working on that right now as a group. And you're wanting to jump ahead into this thing, and I said, well, you're not prepared for that module. Like you've gone on to year 7 or whatever of his website, and now here, like, I'm trying to inform you of the building blocks. But of course, when you've got somebody who's a celebrity that you see on Instagram every day and on YouTube and whatever, and then you've got average Joe gym owner, well, your information must be second best. I said, like, I just picked Lachlan Giles because he was the first person that jumped out. I'm certainly not knocking him, just in case. I don't know if he watches this podcast, but if he does, Lachlan Giles, I really rate you, and I think your instructional material is fantastic. It was, but you know what I'm just
I understand what you're saying. I mean, a lot of them do come in and they go, and they even showing the lower belts. We're going to work on a straight arm bar from guard, and there's so much to it, and there's not many people are very good at it, and they think they are good at it, but then they don't ever pull it off. But maybe they pull it off on a white belt, you know what I mean? But then they're going, oh yeah, from here what you can do is you can switch and they pull the arm out and you do this. So we're not doing that yet. So like, please just do what we're doing. And again, it's not because like it's an ego thing, do what I'm telling you to do, but I really want you to get good at this. And if you can get good at this and stay away from the bullshit techniques, because you're submitting guys in the gym with bullshit techniques that you're not going to work on a higher belt. And I said to them, which higher belts have you got this on? Oh, well, no one. Yeah, because you haven't mastered how to work a guard or how to pass a guard or they haven't mastered it yet. They think they have, but they haven't.
Well, I mean, that any coach who's watching this is going to go, every time you show technique, there's always like a couple of guys in the class who are jumping to the next thing and the next thing. And you can guarantee you are the guy who fucked up the thing that I showed and you jumped ahead, because you thought you knew it, and you can't teach a man what he thinks he already knows.
But I understand why they do it, because they're excited about it, and they want to show the other person what they know.
Yeah.
So like, say if I'm like, it doesn't matter about belts or whatever, but say I've been doing it longer, and you show me a technique, and I go, James, what you can do from here is you can go like here, and the guy probably probably like hasn't done it very long, and they're going, oh, that's cool, thanks, and they're like, I haven't got the first bit, you know what I mean? And it's like, as you get, well, I'm saying for everyone, but as you get to brown belt, black belt, as a time period, I feel like I want to do more fundamentals, because I sort of get that stage and I go, oh, I need to go back to that. I need to go back and get better at that.
I was talking to Grace about it today at lunch. I said, you and I, like, we just trained at Imanari's gym and got to roll with him and that. And I remember I was telling you about, before we left, I had to blow up at a bunch of the guys in class, because I'm teaching stuff and I'm teaching little details that have taken me 10 years to figure out. and I'm teaching it for a reason, and they're just like, they're back here. I'm like, you may as well not even come. May as well just stay at home. Like, they're lying down, like, looking at the roof, so had a big blow up at them. And then in contrast to that, we're at Imanari's gym, 2 black belts, right, 2 coaches as well, and we're up and we're walking around. Like, I'm like looking in, looking there. What's he doing? You know,
he doesn't speak English really, and he's teaching, and this guy sort of like he's there translating a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get around, see, where's his hand? Where's his hand here? His thumb's here. Oh, it's cool. Yeah. Oh, can you do it again? Like, and I'm like so invested in what he's doing because this is like gold. You know what I mean? Like, it's in like if I can get this up, because like you see it and you go, that's sick.
And then,
you know what I mean?
And then same thing. Like, we went to Singapore and we go to these gyms and we go to a class, and then the guy like teach for like 5-10 minutes, and then he's like, right guys, rolling, and we're like, oh, like, because we want to learn. So we're 2 coaches, and we're like, and then we go to the next class, and this guy teaches like half an hour or something of technique, and we're walking around and we're looking and we're checking, we're getting really close, and yet you've got white belts and blue belts who are like just sitting back here. I'm like, I can't see you. You definitely can't see me because there's people sitting in front of you. Whereas like we're 2 coaches getting around trying to see every little, what's his hand? Yeah, which way's the hand? And then they're just like, I know it. And then they go to drill it, and then it's like a mess. And I'm like, you have that contrast, and you think just like, and then it's all.
I feel like we're bitching about this every week.
Yeah,
every week we talk about it.
It is
and I think we've talked about this last week.
It's a coach's thing.
It's the normal coach's gripe.
Yeah.
But I do have this sensation all the time where like I'd struggled with things for years, and I'll go, my teacher Crezio de Souza, he was a black belt from Carlson Gracie. His father was one of Elio Gracie's original black belts, so kind of steeped in the history. And then I would struggle with things for years, and then he would show me something, and he's a very, very insightful teacher. So he would be able to break down something incredibly complex into something really succinct and short, and explain this huge concept and something that I'd really been struggling with. He would completely enlighten me with this one diamond bullet, and I'd be like, wow, that was so fantastic. That's changed my whole view of jiu-jitsu. And then I go and present it in a class, and people are like, yeah, okay. So fuck, man, no, that was really important. That was like 10 years of my life seeking this information out, and I've just given it to you. And I want them to have the enthusiasm that I received it with. I want like their eyes to light up the way that mine did, and then go, that's just normal. Like I've already watched Lachlan Giles. DVD today. I'm picking on Lachlan Giles. I'm gonna make some shit with Lachlan Giles here. I think his instructionals are great.
Chronicles does not represent.
You don't endorse my. If Lachlan Giles is listening, I think your instructionals are absolutely awesome. It's just that my students think they're more awesome than mine. So I got that hump. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah, how it happens all the time, and you're doing stuff, and I can sort of, over the years, how many other years I've trained for, especially in the jiu-jitsu as well, is like I can remember a certain technique that someone showed me. I can tell you which person showed me that technique because I use it all the time still. Yeah. So I learned this from just a normal instructor, not like a celebrity one, or I learned it from like Clark Gracie or something like that. There's certain things that I learned from certain people, and it made such a difference to me that I was like, I use this still today. And this is who did it. I can't tell you what year because I'm same as you. I can't remember years and stuff. But like, I'll say exactly who showed me that because it's a big deal. And then I show people, and I do expect this massive and everyone's go, oh, and it's like, yeah. But what you can do is you do an almost platter on the end. I'm like, oh, shut up.
I think for me, when I started, there was just DVD instructionals. I think Roy Dean was like one of the first ones I saw. It was like Roy Dean blue belt requirements. Like I might have bought that, but I never got into instructionals. But it wasn't so accessible as it is now. So when I would go to class, and Habby's teaching something, you literally like, this is the Messiah, like whatever Habby says. You're just taking everything on board. Like, I mean, Habby's partly the reason why I've like made it to a black belt and coaching now is because I was like wanting to do MMA and fight MMA, but then just personal circumstances, I was like, I can't keep training everything. I'm going to pick one discipline that I can make it to, and that's it. and I was doing everything at the time. And then I said, what should I do? I've got to drop stuff. I can only make one discipline. And then he was like, just do the gi. And I hated the gi. At the time, I hated the gi. But because Habby said it, I was like, well, you know, like, yes, sir. Like, he says that, I was just like, yes. And I just did the gi because he told me to. And then years later, I'm like, thank God he did, and I just did it. Whereas, like, now it's like, but Gordon Ryan says this, you know.
Thinking about that generation, I think, because like, because now you can get all the stuff online. It's not going to be as good as in like from being with someone and someone be able to alter and stuff. But I think because we traveled, we searched it out, and I had no internet when I was like starting and stuff like that, or just coming in, then like I was appreciating everything I could find, because I had to go to classes and seminars and stuff to get the stuff, and I'm writing all my little notes down and stuff like that because I couldn't go online and do it. Yeah. So maybe that's why it's changed a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I don't want to be too critical because I feel like it is a net positive.
But you hate Lachlan Giles.
I'm gonna make some shit here. Actually, I think he's awesome. That's why I'm just a bit jealous.
He's very good.
His resource is very good. What was my point? What was I gonna? I had something to say
positive.
there. I've forgotten.
You just said it is a net positive. You don't want to be too critical.
The proliferation of things, and I love you. I find sometimes I'll go and just look on YouTube for like stuff to review and go, oh guys, remember what we're doing today? Just go and have a look there. There's the best guys in the world. And this guy here, he's clipped out like if we're doing octopus guard or something like that. Like you say, oh hey, look, Sonny Brown breakdowns.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Sonny Brown breakdowns. He's already just clipped up all the best examples of the best guys in the world. Yeah, very cool. It's so instead of you having to troll through like hours and hours worth of footage or dig out your VHSs and stuff like that, so there's the best guy in the world hitting the move this way, that way, and the other, and it's really great. But the problem is sometimes then you get spoon-fed the answer. So you're saying oh, I remember this guy showed me this move, this guy showed me this move, which is really great. But I think the really great teachers that I've had, I'm not even sure what they showed me, but they showed me a methodology. They showed me a way to think about jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or whatever. I Barry Norman trained me in Muay Thai, Kieran Kettle and Steve Gladstone trained me in Muay Thai. I think what move did they show? I can remember a couple. I say, oh yeah, Steve definitely showed me this movement and so on. I can't really remember, but it gave me a way to think about it that I can pass
the principles and the concepts around everything.
Yeah, I just think if that happened to me, that sort of turning point moment with Habby saying do the gi, and I hated the gi, but we only did the gi rarely just because he made us at the time. Remember, he used to make, if you were training MMA, you had to train in the gi at least once a fortnight sort of thing. And so if that happened to me now, that turning point, and then I'd be like, yeah, but Craig Jones says the gi sucks. Josh Saunders says the gi sucks. I'm not listening to Habby, So, but at the time, you didn't have all that social media influence. And so you'd just be like, okay, well, I'm just doing what I'm told. Off I go. And then, so maybe it would be different now because
I hated the gi. I hated it right from the get-go. I never liked. I only want to learn jiu-jitsu to be a better MMA fighter. Yeah. And Dave Elliott, do you remember Dave?
Dave Elliott, yeah.
Dave came back to Newcastle. He was the best grappler in the region. Really good jiu-jitsu knowledge. So it was either you train in the gi with Dave or with your buddies in the garage making shit up off of VHS tapes and stuff like that. So you go train with Dave because you get trained with the best grapplers. Then I went to Brazil, and the guys were like, well, you can do just no gi if you want. When you get your purple belt. I was like, that's years away. So but I thought, okay, well, either I can stay at home and I can train with the buddies in the garage making things up, or I can train with black belts every day, get great instruction, and when I get my purple belt, so I did. I got my purple belt, and I was like, fuck you, gi. I'm doing no gi. And then I would get really, even when I would go back to Brazil for training camps and stuff like that, I was like, I'm getting ready for an MMA fight, and guys would be grabbing my pants and holding me down and be like, I don't have to deal with this. I would just punch you in the face. I was that dickhead. You know? And then for years and years, and then I went down to London. Was training with Leo Nagao. Leo was a Fabio Gugel black belt. A very, very amazing jiu-jitsu fighter. And he was like, well, he loves no gi too, and Vale Tudo and everything. He was like, well, you don't have to be Roger Gracie. Just put the gi on a couple of times a week. was like, oh, God, again. Got to put the gi on. And now that I'm retired, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, because if I'd become like black belt level in no gi, I could never go back. I couldn't start again as a gi fighter. It would have ruined it for me.
Yeah.
And at least now I've got a sport that I can still be engaged in and still have. I can't go no gi rounds with the tough young guys. You know, like I can't keep up with them. I can't keep pace. Well, I can do one round and then they're lapping me. You know? But with the gi, I can slow people down, and I still have so many lovely things to learn that gives me a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure. So I'm so glad that I stayed in with the gi. So even like my guys, Harry and George Hardwick.
Yeah.
Harry and George, brilliant grapplers.
Yeah.
Very, very excellent. Like, George just hasn't really showed a great deal of his grappling in his fights, but he's a very good grappler.
I got to roll with him last time we were back. Yeah. It's good.
He's very skillful, you know, and he's very methodical. You know, so I left him at the brown belt. You know, like, both of those guys have submitted black belts, you know, in their MMA fights, like legitimate black belt fighters from like Nogueira team and very good Brazilian teams. But I won't give them the black belt now because they're not gi black belts. You know, like, they can fight with any black belt in the world, grapple with any black belt. In no gi, I would put them with black belt. You know, but I'm just keeping them there just with the brown belt so that they've got the opportunity when they retire. If they want to continue with another contact sport, they can still be competitive, and they can earn their black belt in the gi.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not talking shit about anybody who gives no gi black belts. I know there's a lot, like Next Generation Academy does, and 10th Planet and things like that have the no gi black belt, and they're very, very legitimate people, and I wouldn't question them. But for me, I feel like you stay with the gi. You know, like, if you want the black belt, like, it's part of the gi.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Well,
what is the belt on top of a pair of shorts?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. If you're gonna get rid of the belt, you can't have the belt and not have the gi. Just get rid of the whole. I hate it, mate. Get rid of around like.
But I was the same as you, exactly the same. I didn't do all no gi because I wanted to fight MMA, and then like I see such benefits from doing the gi from positional stuff as well, and then again learning that new skill set to be able to continue it on. But you don't think about that when you're younger as well.
Yeah.
Well, we do the same thing as you here, where so we don't grade. No one gets graded if you're just doing no gi. Well, in my opinion as well, it's kind of like. You don't want to, you don't have to. The belts don't matter in MMA. You're not wearing, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not wearing a black belt and a gi out in an MMA. I mean, some people do, the Rotulos do when they walk out. But
yeah,
it's like, it doesn't matter. But yeah, if you want to get your belts in. Did
you want some more Buffalo Trace?
Yeah, well.
Sponsored.
But yeah. If you want it, then find some time and put the gi on. And when you're doing so much other work, like so much MMA and so much grappling and so much no gi, you don't need to put it on as much as other people do, because you're getting a lot of experience. You're getting fights. You're getting that. But it's like you need to do it to be able to grade. You can't just.
And it means something as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, again, like MMA changes things massively. You know, it's once upon a time when things were, as we were talking about at the start, when things were one dimensional. And a jiu-jitsu black belt was a guaranteed arse kicker. Like, if you went to the ground with a jiu-jitsu black belt, you were dead. That was gone. But it's not the case anymore. And it's not the case that if somebody gets submitted by a lower belt in an MMA fight, that it discredits the belt. Rodolfo Vieira, you remember he had a really bad fight. I don't know if he had a bad weight cut. The guy who had a blue belt submitted Rodolfo Vieira. But you're going to say, like, Rodolfo Vieira is not a black belt.
Yeah.
Come on. Rodolfo Vieira is one of the best to ever do it. Amazing guy. I couldn't stop admiring him no matter how bad his MMA career went. But it's just not the same thing anymore. Yeah. It's not the same sport. And the divergence of jiu-jitsu sport, jiu-jitsu for self-defense, and jiu-jitsu for Vale Tudo, MMA, it's very, very broad and distinct now in a way that it never was before. And I think there's a temptation amongst, like, the old school, the old guard, to be defensive. Oh, well, new sport jiu-jitsu is no good. It doesn't work on the street. It doesn't work on the street. Who cares? It's an awesome sport. Well, it's a sport. It's an absurd argument, really. When you talk about if you're only allowed to kick the ball in between into the net. Well, that's stupid, because I could just pick it up and I could run it in.
Yeah.
I said, but that's rugby.
Yeah, we have the rules.
it's like
rule sets.
Yeah, these are the rules. You get this argument all the time. It's like the rule set is the rule set. This is but if I just did this, we'll go do that. They've got that over there. If I just didn't wear gloves and punch in the face, bare knuckle, we'll go do that. Every rule set for a reason. Like, but if the guy sits to guard, if it was this, I could knee him in the face. Yeah, well, we're not. So he's not going to sit to guard if that was the rule set, you know? It's like...
But it's. I think you rob yourself of the enjoyment of like things like well, judo's not good because if they threw me, then I would take their back. Or judo's awesome. It's amazing. It's a beautiful, amazing sport. It doesn't work quite the same way in a jiu-jitsu context or an MMA context, but it's an amazing sport. So why would you rob yourself of the enjoyment by like criticizing the rules of the sport? All sports are abstractions of combat. There's no reason why you should rob yourself of the pleasure of the sport itself.
Yeah, and it's got to go by the rule set when you're talking about anything, because I hear it all the time. Goes that if that fight had got 1 minute longer,
but they didn't.
Yeah, but in the rule set, it's 3 5-minute rounds.
Exactly.
So it's not going a minute longer. So you can't you're thinking of all these things that never going to happen.
Yeah, or you hear like people be like, if that was judged like when they used to judge Pride or whatever, the way the round ended, or what the guy ended up on, he killed a guy for 5 minutes, but now he's on the ends up on the bottom, and they're like, but it's not judged on the end of the fight; it's judged on the whole of the round. So it's like, that's the rule. If the rule set was who ends up on top at the end, fine, but.
100%. I wouldn't mind going back to, obviously we started off saying about you started off in the jiu-jitsu.
It was in the animal.
And then you obviously moved to the animal day. Which discipline did you fight in first? What was the first fight you've ever had?
I went straight into an MMA fight.
Right. Okay.
So I was at John Atkins AFC, and there was a brilliant guy there called Gavin Bradley. Sadly, he passed away a little while ago. He was a very, very brave guy. He was trying to save somebody's life, and he passed away. But he was a really tough guy. He was really great. A really nice person. He really made me believe in myself. Yeah. And Gavin had some pictures of himself because we didn't have camera phones and things like that. So he had these pictures developed, and he'd been fighting on, I think it was Ultimate Combat.
Ultimate Combat, yeah. I was due to fight on that one. Yeah, Ultimate Combat, yeah.
So he had some pictures from Ultimate Combat, and I was like, fucking hell, wow, that's amazing. Like, so did you was it did you get paid for that? And he was like, yeah, you get some money. I was like, great, I really need some money. Can you get me a fight? Yeah. And he said, well, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah. So he managed to line me up a fight on. It was before it was Total Combat. It was Gosh and Ryu Fighting Championships, and it was at the.
So that was from the KSBO one.
This was just like an independent Northeast thing. Okay. It was a Ferry Hill Working Man's Club.
Oh right. Okay,
and it was like.
Was that Ian Freeman's coach?
It was. I don't know if he was Ian Freeman's coach.
But I think he was the.
It was Peter McQueen's show.
Peter McQueen, he was.
I think Peter McQueen gave Ian Freeman a black belt.
Right,
I'm not sure.
That's what I'm thinking.
If he trained Ian McQueen, if he trained Ian Freeman, I think he did award him a black belt because he's Ian Freeman.
Yeah.
Of course he's a black belt. So I fought on that show, and it was. It was very much the Wild West kind of days, So it was when people could still smoke and work in men's clubs and stuff like that. So you'd kind of push your way through the crowd and try to climb up in the ring, and and then there was this big haze of smoke.
Yeah.
And I ended up I fought some guy from Carrick Garrison.
Yeah.
I got sort of beat up, and I managed to get him down. I thought I'd won, and and then the judges gave it to the other guy. Yeah. And then the judge came into the gym and he said, "Oh, we saw that fight back on video, but you won that one." I was like, "Well, why didn't you give it to me then?" Yeah. He said, "Oh, well, our seats were below the ring, so we couldn't see anything that happened on the ground." I was like,
"This is what it was like, though."
I said, "Well, thank you very much." Yeah, but of course, it didn't matter. It was absurd, And then I fought. I fought Ian Butland, who was a very good fighter. He'd been a very good. Him and all of his brothers were very good amateur boxers. His brother Andy was a very good amateur boxer, and he triangled me in 2 seconds flat, and I was like, oh, "Fuck!" So I was devastated. I just thought I'm no good at this. I'm I need to give it up. I'm useless. And Gavin encouraged me, and he said, no, come on, I'm going to Cage Warriors. We'll get you a fight on Cage Warriors too. So they put me into a professional debut in spite of having no ability whatsoever.
Well, at that stage, was there a difference between amateur and professional?
It was more or less just that you got paid.
Which
is essentially
as in the rule set was exactly the same.
I mean, that's the actual difference, isn't it? That is the sort of English language definition that you got some money, and a couple of £100 meant the world to me at the time. Yeah. And I thought this guy Graham Connolly, he was a real tough kid, like a tough Scottish kid. And I thought, well, I'm fighting a kid from Scotland in Portsmouth, so a kid from Newcastle, kid from Scotland. Nobody's going to care any different. Well, it turned out he was the Navy boxing champion. So Portsmouth is where the British Navy is stationed. Yeah. So unfortunately, I was the away fighter, and I had this stupid haircut. I'd cut my hair like the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead. Suicide from Return of the Living Dead with a big stripe in his head and stuff like that. And I had my hair all dyed, which was the style for MMA fighters at the time. And so I managed to catch a triangle on. Basically, the triangle was the only move I knew. He took me down. I put him on a triangle. And he just sat there for I don't know how long, just beating the living daylights out of me with a hammer fist. And I was like, well, I better hang on to this because I don't know any other moves. And I managed to get the top. And he stood up and he's like, oh well, yeah, I'm boxing next week, no problem. And then I'm looking like Rocky Balboa, walking out the ring. And then my coach puts a hat on me, says, hide your stupid haircut. We're bombing out the fire escape. I was like, what? What's up? And he was like, all these Navy guys are going to kill you. I was like, so it was real good. Yeah, it was real good. So many
times when you'd fight away, and they'd be almost swearing, spitting at you as you go into the ring or the cage, whatever you fight, and it was just absolutely insanity. I don't think you would have it now. Maybe you went to certain countries, but it was insane.
So that was Cage Warriors. That one, was it? Yeah. I
fought in Scotland once, and there's a bit of tension, but I don't know if people from Australia feel the tension between Scotland and England, Ireland, England, and the announcement said, "Fight now from England, it's Peter Irving," and everyone went, "Boo!" And they went, "Fight now of Newcastle upon Tyne," and they sort of went, okay, Newcastle kind of gets a pass. Well, it's
pretty close.
Newcastle's kind of, it's been part of Scotland, being part of England, being part of Scotland. So I kind of got a sort of muted, okay, he's not really English, he's a Geordie. Yeah, it's kind of all right, but we still got pint glasses thrown at us on the way out of the door.
So many times to throw a glass into you. It's insane.
So did you carry on Cage Warriors after that then?
I've had a few on Cage Warriors. That was a really good time. But I was kind of in and out. It wasn't like at the time when people were contracted to one particular event. So I would kind of just be like a free agent. I'd flip flop between various different organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few different organizations. I'm trying to remember the names of different organizations then, but there was Cage Wars, wasn't it? Cage Warriors. Oh, Cage Rage.
That was Cage Rage, Cage Warriors.
Cage Warriors. There was the Ultimate Combat. There was one called Bama or something.
Bama came along a little bit later. That was financed by, I think, Channel 5 or something like that, and they ended up pairing with Bellator and then being absorbed into Bellator. Yeah. Which was then absorbed into PFL and so on. Yeah. It's a very vociferous and precarious industry.
So were you competing in grappling as well alongside MMA and Muay Thai? Were you fighting, or you were just fighting MMA?
I did I went to Brazil and dedicated myself to jiu-jitsu, but I was playing the visa waiver game, so I had 6 months of training in jiu-jitsu, and I would compete in jiu-jitsu there in Brazil, and I didn't win a goddamn thing. Yeah, won nothing at all. It was the tournaments I was entering were they were too big for me. I wasn't. I beg your pardon. Sorry.
So
I wasn't really prepared for the level of competition, so I won nothing. I had a couple of years where I didn't win anything at all, and I was devastated. And I would go home and cry my eyes out and think I'm no good and couldn't handle it. And there was one of the coaches there, one of Chris' black belts. Adalberto de Souza. He was called Buddha, Buddha, because he was a big, happy, smiling character, And Buddha was really great, And he just said to me one day, he said, it's not that you're no good, it's not that you lack talent. So like you just need more experience. You just need to get your feet dirty on the what do you call it? It was the Copa,
like the local.
Like the Copa bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like the Copa pau com manteiga. You know, like that's what you say. So just go to those ones, and start winning. Start feeling how it feels to win. Start feeling how it feels to perform, and then go back. Because I was doing like the Mundials and the Copa do Brazil and stuff like that, and I just got smashed, and I was losing in the first round. You know, and even when I started going good, I went to the Mundials and I drew Ivan Bachman. You know, Ivan George. You know, he was a loot lever black belt, and he went to Carlson's, got his blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I faced him as a blue belt, and like I prepared for a judoka who could throw. Or a guard puller, and then even Bachman was a lever guy who could wrestle. So we just spent like 5 minutes wrestling. I was like, oh, shit, this is not working. I can't get him down. I can't arm drag him. Every time I drag him, he drags me back. I tried a judo throw just to try to score at least an advantage or something like that, and I gave my back. Tried an uchimata, and he jumped on my back, and I lost by 4 points. Yeah. I was like, oh shit. You know, so again, I thought I was no good, you know. And then when I went back to the UK, I just started competing in lower level tournaments. And I caught my stride. Yep. And then, so like as a blue belt, I won absolutely nothing. I never got it. I didn't even get a medal. Yeah. You know, like even, I couldn't get a medal in a 3-man division. You know, like it was that shit. You know? And then as a purple belt, I just started to hit my stride, and I started like, just winning and winning and winning. I was like, I was really glad that I toughed it out.
Getting your confidence up.
Yeah, because I wanted to quit so many times. I wanted to give up. I thought it was no good, and I was just inexperienced, and I just wasn't a natural competitor, and then I started to really love competition. I think like the reason why I lost as a blue belt was because like I would like go for something, I'd give my back, and I was like, I'm still thinking about the mistake that I made. I'm beating myself. I was like, you fucked that up because you did this, and then, but the guy's trying to choke me now. That's already gone. Like I was living in the past. I was regretting the past while I was in the moment. Yeah. Instead of being focused on, like what I should have been doing was like going back later and analyzing why did you give your back? But instead I'm thinking about that at the time, and I'm giving away the choke. So once I got to a purple belt, like I was a very successful purple belt, and well, I say very successful. I mean, I wasn't world champion or anything like that, but like
good though.
As a competitor, I got to know myself and I hit my stride. It just took me a little bit longer than probably most people that stick it out. And then there was a couple of years there where I couldn't lose if I tried. And then the wheels fell off and I started being shit again. But but it's
So so when you were doing this, were you fighting MMA at the same time, or you stopped?
I spent a little bit of time just purely focused on grappling because I realized I was very hitting. I was winner one, loser one, winner one, loser one, and I realized it was because I didn't have any sort of base. I was just busking it as I went along, so it was kind of pot.
You mean in MMA?
In MMA, yeah. So then I focused on jiu-jitsu, and I got a strong base in jiu-jitsu. And then when we came back to England, the jiu-jitsu scene wasn't that strong. But there was the Sultanic gym, which was a very strong Muay Thai academy. So I went there and I trained Muay Thai. Yeah. And they put me, Craig Jones.
Yeah.
So Craig Jones used to kick the shit out of me. So Craig's one of my best friends. But everywhere I go, I'll say like, people told me, say, oh, where you from? Da, da, da. And I'll say, oh yeah, I was a training partner of Craig Jones. And they go, oh, he's a lovely guy. What a nice guy. I go, he's not. He's a fucking bastard. And they go, oh, yeah. I go, no, he's got a mean streak a mile wide. He's horrible. And they go, oh, you're such a joker. Anyway, if Craig's watching this, he knows he's my good friend, But yeah, mean streak a mile wide. He used to kick the crap out of me, But again, toughened me up.
Toughened you up, yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I got silver teeth is Craig. It wasn't even in a fight. Like Craig just knocked my teeth out.
Hard sparring.
But yeah, so I would do like a Muay Thai fight, then an MMA fight, then a Muay Thai fight, and an MMA fight. Because I don't think I was a natural for Muay Thai, but like it was in my head that if I was facing somebody who had Muay Thai experience, that I thought like, oh, they'll beat me up on the feet. So I had to go and get that experience. Like I had to go and like stamp myself as like a legitimate Muay Thai fighter. Otherwise, I didn't have the confidence to go in and take down the Muay Thai guy or whatever.
But I think, it depends what time that was. But I remember when we started doing the MMA, there wasn't as many MMA fights. So we were at a Muay Thai gym, so I ended up getting more Muay Thai fights. But I was doing it most of the time to get better at MMA. but like I could compete more in the Muay Thai because there wasn't as many MMA fights.
Yeah, it was another way to get more fights. I was very like a lot of guys
Just want
now
to get better.
a lot of guys now, like they'll stay in the gym a lot and maybe have like, you know, maybe like 3 fights a year or something like that. I thought that was a waste of time. I was obsessed with it. I need to rack up as much, because we'd see these Thais who had like 300 fights or whatever, and I was thinking like, well, that's the guy. I get more fights, I get better. It's not really strictly the case. There's a law of diminishing returns on the number of bouts you have, you know, because Muay Thai, especially MMA, it's so injurious that the number of fights you have doesn't correlate with the ability that you have. But I thought, okay, if I rack up 100 fights, I am going to be an ass kicker. And I thought, well, actually, no, I managed to get to 50 and I was fucked. Yeah. I was a wreck. Yeah. You know? But, you know, it seemed like a reasonable idea to get as much ring experience as possible.
Which would you say was your toughest fight, regardless of kickboxing, MMA, whatever? Which one would you say which really sticks in your head and you thought, I had to find something deep to get the win or get through that fight?
That
was one of the questions from one of the guys on the
okay. Well, there was a few. I mean, I wasn't one of those guys who was like a gifted finisher. I didn't have like a vision for the. If I was going to submit somebody, I had to like dominate them positionally, beat them, you know, make their warrior spirit leave their body, and then I could find the choke or whatever. You know, but I wasn't like a visionary for like, you know, jumping on it. You know, you see like Barry Pimlet like jump a triangle or something like that. You know, I didn't have that vision, you know, and I wasn't gifted with that one punch knockout. You know, like if I knocked anybody out, it was because I'd beat on them for 3 rounds, you know. I was a grinder. I didn't, you know, so I was a bit of a decisionator, to be you know, which means that you're always open for the judges bumping you and stuff like that. So I didn't have that God-given one punch power. I didn't have that God-given vision for the submission. So I think I had many that were like real tests, you know. But I enjoyed that. That was the joy for me. I think one of the ones that I was talking before, I fought like Reza Mad Dog, you know, and I gave everything. You know, like it was to pick myself up off the canvas. I thought, I've got to get up before him and lift my hand up before him. You know, I'm trying to pick myself up off the floor, and I had nothing left. I'd given absolutely everything, you know, and that for me was the joy of it, you know. Yeah. And I fought Paul Jenkins a couple of times. You know,
Paul Jenkins was good.
Paul Jenkins was a real tough, legit tough guy. You know, like not necessarily the best fighter ever, but like, you would fight anyone and he would put up a fight. You know, it didn't matter what weight they were, it didn't matter what notice he had. You know, like nobody got an easy one over Jenkins. You know, so I had a couple of tough ones with Jenkins. Yeah. You know, and I remember one time, I thought I'd beat Paul the first time, and in fact I did actually. I'll tell you, this is a horrible story. He shit himself. I need him in the body, and he had diarrhea. You know, this is the kind of guy he's ill, you know, and he still fought anyway. So I need him in the body, and he pooed his pants. Yeah, and I had to fight him for 2 more rounds. And I say like, that's a TKO. That the referee should stop that. Yeah. Anyway, so I had to fight him for 2 more rounds. Anyway, they give it a Paul. So I rematched them again, and they give me a draw this time. You know, but the second time I fought him, I was up for fighting, you know, like I was a gamer, you know, like I didn't care if I lived or died at the time, you know, like in fact I wanted to die really, you know, like I was that kind of kid, like I just wanted to fight, and I didn't care about anything. And when I went to fight Paul, it was the first time in my life that I felt like I didn't want to fight, and we're driving up to the venue, and I don't know why, I don't know what had gone wrong in my head, but we're driving up and I was thinking, I wish the car would crash. Started thinking like, if I just grab the steering wheel and go into the central reservation, that I could say I had a car crash, I couldn't make it. You know, like it was, I don't know what was going on. There was something going on. I didn't sleep the night before. There was something wrong with me, and I can't pinpoint what it was, but I didn't want to fight. And I got in the ring, and it was going okay. And then Paul kicked me in the face, and then like I grabbed him with an over under. And there was blood all down his back, and then I realised it was coming out of my eye, and it was pumping out of my eye, and it was going into my eye. And the doctor came over and went to stop the fight. You know, like they were going, well, can you see? And I was thinking, like, if I just go, well, not really, they'll stop the fight, and then I can just tell everyone, say, "Oh, I was just unlucky. Oh, I didn't. I was up for it, but I just." But like the voice that came out of my mouth was, I said, "No, I'm fine. Let it go." And the doctor was on an hour, and Jenkins, bless him, what a great guy. He came over and he chased the doctor out.
Yeah.
He goes, just stick a bit of Vaseline on it. He's fine, crack on. And he chased the doctor out of the ring. Yeah. He was like putting the doctor on, all right then. Yeah. And I thought but Paul could have come over and gone, oh, that looks bad, that.
Yeah, and that pushed it.
But he didn't give a shit.
He just wanted to fight.
He just wanted to fight. Yeah. He was going like, I came for a fight. We've got 2 more rounds left. He wanted it, and the fact that he wanted it made me want it. Yeah, and I was really glad. So again, even though like it wasn't a win, it wasn't like it was a personal victory, because I knew that even when I was facing that kind of adversity, from within myself more than from the opponent, that I still wanted to fight, and I was really pleased with myself about that. And I think when it came time to retire, it wasn't even necessary. I mean, I wasn't making any more money. I wasn't going higher up the rankings or anything like that. But I very much felt like fighting doesn't really have any more lessons to teach me.
Yeah.
Like I've pretty much learned everything about myself that this format has to teach me, and now I'm done. So it's done with me, in terms of finance and whatever. But I'm also done with it. I don't need it anymore. Which I was very glad, because I had pretty much every lesson that you could gain from fighting, and that was enough. That was it.
You do learn a lot, like all the fights you have. I mean, I don't regret any of the fights I've had, because I've learned something from everything. I've learned learn how to win, learn how to lose, learn how to. Those days when you're like trying to find every single reason not to fight, like you're going like, I don't want to do it, and I had those days when I've been like, I was going to a fight, the same as yourself, but like it was just like, I don't think I want to do this. I don't think I want to fight today, and how can I get out of doing it today? But I can't tell you why I was feeling that way. But I just wasn't in it. And then like you did it, and you sort of like you won or you lost, and you sort of got through it. But like it was just like I don't want to. But the next one I was like well in for it, and there's just something in your head that switches.
It's hard to pinpoint. It's because I've tried to think about it a lot. Because our job as a coach, right, to bring that out in an athlete, so like to get them in that right headspace where like they're going to give their very best. Yeah. And if you don't want to do it, there's no way that you can bring the best out in the person. So I've tried to fathom what it was that triggered those things, and I'm still not 100% sure. Yeah. Like I thought like one of the things that bothered me was like, every time you fight, you go up on the bill. So I went from the undercard to the main card to the main event. Now my picture's on the poster. So I've gone from a sports hall to an arena, and now I'm in the arena, and now I'm on the top of the bill in the arena, and so on and so on. And this gets you really excited. I think one of the biggest shows I ever fought on, like I fought in the first professional show in Belgium. It was on Belgian TV, and it was this fantastic arena. It was how many thousand people, I don't know. It was like being in a UFC show. It was really fantastic, and I'm standing at the top of the walkway. I thought, not really up for this. Yeah. I remember distinctly thinking, a couple of years ago, I would have really been loving this. That's great. I know, I can't be arsed. And I walked into the ring, and the guy fucking put me on my arse with an overhand right. And as soon as he did, all that, the thousands of people in the crowd all disappeared. And I zoned right in. I thought, "Fuck you! I'm going to get you back for that." And the fight was on. And I thought like it was something about like the level of adversity that would bring out the fight in me.
But I think that sort of mindset as well, as I've said to a lot of the guys in here, where they go, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to spar today. I'm not feeling it." I'm like, what if you don't feel it on the day you're going to fight? Because it happens a lot, and you have to be able to like go, I'm not feeling it today, but I'm going to jump on the mat anyway. I'm going to do it. And I might have a shit session, or you might have a great session, but you can't feel it all the time. Must be times when you're like, I want to roll. I'm not feeling it today. Fucking just do it. Like, you're here, you might as well do it. But like, to me, like, I usually have a roll or a spar, whatever, and it's like, okay, I'm maybe not going to feel any better, but I'm probably gonna feel better majority of the time, you know, when I do it, because I push myself to do it, and I think that's half the battle. Because some people just like go, oh yeah, well, I'm not feeling it today. I don't want to do it today. I'm probably not going to do as well today. Yeah, well that's all right, because in the fight it might happen. Because I've had it a couple of times when I've gone to a fight and I didn't want to fight, and I've gone in, and sometimes it's gone good for me, and sometimes it's not gone good for me. But I've still done it. I've still done it, and I've learned a lot about myself by doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that doesn't make it. It doesn't correlate, does it? It's like, yeah. Sometimes I've competed and I feel like no one's gonna beat me today. I feel amazing, and then I just get beaten and beaten and beaten, and I was like, what the? And then other times you've gone and I'm just like, I don't even want to be here. Yeah. And then you do well, and then. Yeah, I think exactly like you're saying. I went to comp training the other day on the Friday, and the whole session I was like, it was like just dragging through mud. Like I was like, whatever it was just flat. I was just so flat. And then I got here, and Luke Matchett was here, and he was in the I didn't say anything to him. He said something to me about feeling like just flat, and and then I was like, I just had that, and I said it's not motivation. It's like. Yeah, because you're not always going to feel motivated or feel great. It's just discipline. It's just knowing that I just feel like this now, and I just got to keep going and get through it. And I might do another session this Savo, and it could be completely different, or tomorrow completely different. It's a matter of
that comes from experience of doing it for an amount of time. And I say it most of the guys, even if they're coming in, they're not even coming in for competition, but they're coming in to train. Yeah. And they go, oh, I don't want to train today. Well, just get in the car. Just get in the car. That's half the battle. You're not going to get out the car now. You're going to fucking drive to the gym and you're going to train. Yeah. You don't have to think about anything else. Just get in the car. And you're pretty much going to be happy most of the time.
It could be great, yeah. And then sometimes it might not be, and you just go, oh, well, like the next one hopefully will be, you know? Like, but it's just that discipline of just like keep on.
I used to have a gym in Newcastle where I had like a lot of top guys there. And when Ross would come, I think Ross Pearson. Yeah. Ross was...
Shout out Ross Payson.
Yeah, some boy.
Cage Chronicles alumni.
Yeah.
So he was based in I think it was Alliance. They call it
Alliance MMA.
Alliance in the USA. But he would come back to visit home, so he'd pop in and do his trainings there. You know, and I'm like, actually, like Ross is an interesting guy because like. You know, we had like a lot of like really good performers there. Guys who were very hopeful for, you know, some guys who'd been in the UFC, some guys who went to the UFC, you know, they were like Cage Warriors champions and stuff like that. You know, and if you'd pointed out, it said like, which one of these guys is the super like really high level performer and which ones are the hopefuls? You would have gone, oh, I'm not sure. You probably wouldn't have picked Ross. And like, I'm certainly not knocking him here again. I don't want to make another Lachlan Giles situation. So like, yeah, like, but Ross would just come in and he'd just do his training, and you know he was just working on one specific thing or whatever, you know. But what really made the difference with him was that he was a game day player. He wasn't like the most talented guy in the room. He wasn't the one that like, you know, like shone above and beyond everybody else in a training room. It's just when you put him under the spotlights, that guy could just do the business. You know, like he could switch it on anytime. You could have given him 5 minutes notice and chucked him in with a world champion and he would have put up a hell of a fight. You know, he's just that kind of guy. You know, and then other people just can't really, you know, you get, you know, the gym monster that like wrecks everybody, you know, and then just can't switch on underneath the lights. But I remember one time like Ross was just saying like, he was just having a bit of a flat day. And I was like, oh, you want to sit out around? You want to? He said, nah, man. So just having one of them days. You just got to do the rounds.
Yeah.
So, that was just what made him good.
That's the good attitude.
Yeah. Even when he knew, like, I'm not really performing today, but I've got 4 rounds left. I'm just gonna blast them out. Yeah. And I've ticked them off. I've done my training list. I send them back to my coach and say, yep, I did X amount of rounds. All good. You know? Yeah. There's something to be said for that.
100%. Attitude. We're just gonna take a quick break and then we'll be back.
So obviously you were fighting MMA and then you decided to retire. But I was just wondering, like, what was the... you said the fighting was done with you. You were done with fighting. So what was that exact reason and why did you, like, stop competing altogether? Because I don't think you even... like a lot of MMA guys still compete jiu-jitsu or something, grappling after. You didn't go through with anything like that?
Yeah. I mean... Ostensibly, I stopped fighting because of injury reasons. Like I'm mostly blind in this eye, and I can't really hear in this ear.
Yeah.
I had a number of probably correlated the fact that I couldn't see left hooks coming. Like this year I got quite badly damaged. I had a bunch of concussions, and I probably didn't really acknowledge that I was getting concussions because I didn't get headaches. But I could feel myself getting punchy. I was starting to lose time. I would be somewhere and then I'm somewhere else, and I didn't know how much time had elapsed. I was in a different location, and because I wasn't slurring my words, people weren't really noticing and anything like. So I know you still sound fairly erudite. You're okay, but I knew I was getting punchy, and I lost a lot of my memory. I think I've read so many books that I pick them up and I'll get halfway through and I go, fuck, I've read this before. I've lost a lot of my memory, and I've damaged myself quite badly. I had some neck injuries and spinal injuries and stuff like that, and like everybody does, but it got to the point where I realized the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Well, you were saying the financial side of things wasn't really obviously, because
I was fighting for a living. So when my neck had gone, I think I fought John McGuire and sort of later on in my career, and I just couldn't wrestle, which is a bit of a downside when John McGuire is pretty fucking good at single legs, and I just couldn't wrestle with him, and even when I had him pushed up against the fence, I didn't dare to drop down and start tackling his legs and stuff like that, and I thought, this is just, I can't do this anymore. But I was at Kieran Kettle and Steve Gladstone's Semtex gym, really great Muay Thai gym. So I was working as a K1 kickboxer. Best time of my life. It was absolutely brilliant. I absolutely loved it. But even then, I was supposed to fight Michael Page.
Oh yeah, Ben and Page.
Yeah, and this was before he sort of had his big come up. He knocked out a couple of guys who were sort of fairly low level in very spectacular fashion. But I thought I had a shot at the time because I had the Cage Rage, 4-ounce glove kickboxing title and stuff like that. And then my neck went really bad. I think it was Charlie Peters. Maybe did a sweep on me or something like that, and I just sort of fell at the canvas, and I was absolutely buckled, and so that put me out of that fight, and with hindsight, I'm very, very glad that I didn't fight Michael Page, because I would have just been one of those guys on his highlight reel getting knocked out with a spectacular tornado kick or something like that. Yeah, it would have been one of those. So I was totally deluded. I thought I had a chance at the time, but he would have murdered me.
Was he in the same weight as you?
Well, I used to fight up a weight because you could just get more gigs because I was fighting for money.
What weight were you fighting at? What would you walk around at?
I was a 155er. I mean, I'm still the same weight now. The muscles gone from here and the weights come on there, but so I kind of walk around about 80 kilos, and so I would naturally be in a 155er, but I used to fight at welterweight or super middleweight in kickboxing, so I didn't really have to cut any weight, so I just fight so that I could get short notice fights. But it was great fun. I absolutely loved fighting as a K1 kickboxer. But it's not my favourite art to study. It's kind of, I'm sure, of course, there's always things to learn. I'm not being arrogant in that respect. But I'm only going to get worse as a kickboxer. Where in jiu-jitsu, even though my physical ability gets worse, my knowledge ability can still keep increasing and compensating for that to some extent. And as a teacher, I feel like I'm not a black belt competitor. You put me in the world, I'm going to get smashed. But as a teacher, I feel like a black belt. I can give people the kind of information that they need to take them to the next level, and so on and so on, up to a relatively high level. Maybe I couldn't coach Miguel Galvao, but I can get guys from blue belt to purple belt, from purple belt to brown belt, and so on. Sorry, what was the original question again? I've lost track. About competing.
Yeah, so it was basically you stopped fighting, injuries, financial. you felt like you were done with it. It was done with you. So that makes sense. And then I just thought like sometimes guys will keep on doing like grappling or something to compete. Like you just didn't feel the need to compete at all, or you didn't want to, or just the injuries.
Yeah,
wasn't worth it. 'Cause you're not getting paid to grapple, obviously, pretty much.
That's very much the part of the reason why that I desisted with jiu-jitsu competition was that I needed the money. You know, I could get a good wage. You know, going to Russia, going to Estonia, go a cool place. I go and fight somebody. Or I'm there to take a leg and keep on kicking. You know, I knew I wasn't set up to win. You know, but I'd be competitive, get some money, have a great time, experience the world, etc. Or I could stay local, pay for a jiu-jitsu competition, and get a medal.
Yeah.
I've got fucking loads of medals. I give them to my nephews and stuff like that to play with. You know, you know, it's like they're not. It doesn't mean that much to me anymore. But I think the real reason why I didn't want to compete anymore was because I was a fucking prick. You know, when I was competing, I was an arsehole. You know,
I actually seen it. I read one of your posts on Instagram about the guy that came to your gym and you turned him away.
Yeah.
I read that. I did some stalking.
I
stalked through your Instagram and read your posts.
Oh, thanks. I'm ashamed of myself because I was a prick. Yeah, and being competitive made me it made me turn off my empathy for other human beings, and it made a lot of problems. It's amazing that my wife hasn't kicked me out. I don't know why she still puts up with me, because I was such an arsehole. And there was a couple of times where I had a bit of a wobbler about being retired, and I decided I went and did a fight in Thailand. You know, it was kind of an exhibition fight sort of thing, you know, at like Samui International. And it was an absolutely brilliant experience. I don't regret it whatsoever. But again, as soon as I started competing, like I ruined my business. You know, I was a prick to everybody that was, you know, people who were paying to learn from me. I started using them as sparring partners, and then I'll beat them up and I'll get angry with them because they weren't doing good enough. You know, and I was just an arsehole when I was competing. Like, I think like I didn't know how to compete halfway, you know, like, so I could probably like go and compete in like masters jiu-jitsu and things like that. But as soon as I start going to that place, I'm just not a nice person, and I'm ashamed of myself. And I liked being me when I was a competitor. You know, I liked who I was, and I liked the way that people treated me. You know, but then I kind of realized that like everybody respected me, but nobody liked me. You know, I don't have many friends left from that year. I've got very few people that have put up with me and have borne with me. You know, and the ones that do still like me, kind of like me for now and not for then. You know, like they forgive me for then and like me for now.
Yeah.
So I'm reluctant to ever go back to being that person because I don't know how to compete halfway. You know, and I'm kind of like, you know, it made me as good as I could possibly be. I wasn't great, but I was good. But I was good because I didn't care about anybody else, you know, including myself. I didn't care about myself. I was willing to die, and I was encouraging that, you know, by taking punches, and you know, because you can't be good at everything, right? You know, like you can't be good in every position. You can't be good at all these things. So you got to figure out, what am I good at? And I figure out what I'm good at is taking a punch and not going down. So I would just plow through. And I had poor defense, you know, but I was just willing to take one, to give two, give three. And it didn't spill over well into the rest of my life. You know.
Well, it's hard to be that person and a coach.
Yeah.
It doesn't really lend itself to being a coach or a gym owner, does it?
It didn't lend
itself. You're trying to build up other people if you're that person when you're trying to fight yourself,
It didn't lend itself to being a coach, and like it made me like hyper competitive with everybody else, and like made me violent. You know? Like I was ashamed of myself, you know, and so I think even like I tried to do like I did like a charity boxing match last year sometime, and I was very conscientious about not lapsing in old ways, and it just didn't work. I just wasn't a good competitor. You know, I was unwilling to hurt anybody in sparring.
Yeah.
And and not that I could anyway because I was too slow. You know. But yeah, I just thought like I'm done with that. You know, that part of my life like has to be over. And critically, like I said, you know, everybody respected me, but nobody liked me. You know, and I thought at the time, like, all I wanted was for people to say, like, he was a tough guy. You know, and I wished, like, many times I wished, like, on my last MMA fight, I wished I'd died. You know, I wished that I died then, and then people would say, yeah, he was a tough guy. But nobody would said, like, I love him, I miss him. Right? Everybody would just said, what a tough guy. Yeah, great, I admired him. But instead, you know, now life goes on. You know, and I think like I can't be that person anymore. I don't want to be that person anymore. I like being who I was at the time, but it's gone. So yeah, I'm done with competing because it wasn't good for me now, and it wasn't good for anybody around me.
And you moved over to like obviously coaching, and then obviously doing that full time, and then that's a whole new like life. Like now, you know what I mean? Like I compete a little bit now, doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, but nothing like I used to because I was like 100% into competition. But now coaching is like it's just like another lease on the life of the martial arts, and I feel like I'm a good coach. And I feel I put like all the stuff into it. I know you are as well because everyone, all the stuff you put into stuff, it put into your teaching and all the ways you do it is obviously that's where you should be right now, like with a coach, because obviously you're 100% in on coaching.
I am, but I haven't really had the right people to resonate with me. You know, people often talk about like who's the best coach. You know, like. And you'll have like fighters only do like the best coach of the year award. Yeah. But what you'll really see is the best coach athlete pairing. You know, like so there is no best coach. You know, like you've got Kevin. You know, you've got Harvey. You know, Luke. All the great guys. Jed, Jesse. You're the best coach for them, but another guy might come in the gym and he's not your guy. Yeah. You know, like same thing with me. I've got Harry and George. You know, like, and they've been the guys that I've really resonated with. And I've had other guys over the years. You know, some of them have been my guy, and some of them just haven't. And it's not necessarily like the technical knowledge that I've got or whatever. Like a lot of it's down to personality. Like I'm not a good coach in the sense that like I've got a good personality to vibe with a lot of people. You know, like it's just I just got really lucky that I kind of vibed with Harry and George. Yeah, bashing the table. I just kind of vibed with Harry and George, and they're on my wavelength at that given time in our lives relatively. Yeah. You know, and there's been a lot of other guys that I've been a great coach for during a particular time in their life, and their life's moved on, or my life has moved on, and we just haven't stayed together. Yeah. You know, and so like what I'm really saying is that like lots of good guys have fired me. But it's a relationship, you know. And I think it's really hard coaching because you know, you end up like you love the person that you're training. You know, if you don't, it's probably something going on that's kind of exploitative or you know. Yeah, so I had a guy in Garces, you know, amazing guy, and he lived in my house. You know, like he lived with my family. Like I'd stayed at his place in Brazil, and then he came over and trained with me, and he lived in my house. He was a member of the family, you know, and we had a wonderful run. You know, like he never went wrong on me. Like he did his amateur career with me, and then he went on and he was a training partner for Damian Maia. Right. And I remember he was going to me like, man, everything you said the guy was going to do, he did. And everything you said for me to do worked. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, you're a brilliant coach. I said, well, I'm not really, bro. It was an amateur fight. Like, that's how amateur fights work out. All I did was express the odds. You know, like, I've watched so many amateur fights. That's the way they play out. I've watched this guy fight before. I made very accurate predictions because it's not that hard. He's going, "You're a brilliant coach, amazing." So not really. Like, I just looked at what happens, and that's what happened, because the chances were.
Yeah.
But if he'd gone to the UFC, I don't know if I would have been the brilliant coach for him.
But as a coach, you're progressing with the person as well, because you haven't all that experience of the amateur guys, and then some of you guys go to pro, and you're still learning as well. You know what I mean? Even though you've got 30 odd years of training beforehand, you're still learning as you're going through. But that's part of the relationship. Like, it's part of the relationship. Everyone's growing together. The team's growing together. Everyone's getting better together, and that's how you're going to become a better coach.
It is. It's and the relationship between athlete and coach, like, it's very much like, it's almost like a romance is. Or like I don't worry about sounding weird here.
Yeah.
Or like, but how they say with like it's the same as your relationship with martial arts in general.
Yeah.
That, like, if you stay married, like, you don't stay perpetually in love. Like, you fall in and out of love, and then you either learn to love the person again, or the hurt that you've done one another makes it all fall apart. And it's the same thing with athletes. You go through these ups and downs, and not everybody's able to bear with it. Some people need a divorce, and sometimes it's the right thing for one party or both parties, and so on. And then it's very hard to stay together, especially like as a coach. Like, say, like the guys that I've still got with me is Harry and George. Who are being very successful. And we started off, like, Harry and George were very novice. And like, I teach them how to work corners, how to wrap hands, even like the sort of basic protocols of making sure the gum shield is back in before the next round happens, how to give advice in between rounds. And then gradually I moved down from the first seat to the second seat to the third seat, and now I just sit there and and they still come and train with me, like, even though, like, they already know everything that I know, which is very, very, very nice. It's like, it's almost like they're doing me a favor by coming training with me. But what's happened is that we've become like peers, and it's a very hard thing to do with a coach. That like, we can now have discussions about, what's best for this fighter, what's the best strategy. Instead of me saying, like, no, this is the correct way to do it. This is obey my commands and you'll win. Now we have discussions, and they've become peers because they've got a comparable level of experience. It's very hard for, like, athletes to accept. It's hard for coaches to accept too, that like, that somebody's evolved into somebody who is a peer. I think I've been very lucky with the coaches that I've had, that they've given me so much respect that they've allowed me to become a peer with them. And this has been, like, nice for me as well, to like instead of me saying, like, I know what to do, or having to pretend I know what to do, that I can say, Harry, what do you think is the right thing to do with this? And we can have a conversation on an even level, where, like, but having that, it's very comfortable as a coach to have a power dynamic where like, I have so much more experience than you, that I can tell you what is correct, and you just take my word for it. It's hard to get to that next level with a set of people.
It is, and a lot of coaches wouldn't do that. A lot of coaches wouldn't. They'd always have that, I want to be here, and the other person's here, and not take their advice, and not take their thoughts and everything coming back. But that's what makes a good coach, I think.
I think a lot of, and not that I was arrogant, but I did always have my own mind. And the coaches that I vibed with, I think, like, my coach Alan Orr, very, very good coach. I think a lot of the time he would sort of convince me that the correct idea was my idea. That, like, he wouldn't tell me that this is the correct way to do it, but what he would do was, like, see what I wanted to do, and then guide it into the correct, and then make me feel like it was my idea. Whereas in fact, of course, it was Alan's idea. It was very, 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 very good. No, I'm not saying that it was a kind of, I'm not making it sound like it was a deception. But you would acknowledge my ideas and then guide them into something that was actually good, instead of, so I think this was like the coaching skill over and above teaching. You could teach me a move, but what you would really do well was, like, give my inclinations the best possible direction.
That is a good coach. We've sort of run over time now. Producer Robin is looking at me like we've gone well over time, but for what we usually do. But just to finish with, if you had to give one bit of advice to a upcoming fighter to get to the top, that's one of the questions we had. That get to a high level on a very short, like it's a few sentences or a few words. How? Yeah, I know James would never be able to do this because he just doesn't stop talking. But what would you say to them?
To get to a high level.
So basically, someone came to you and they went, "Okay, I've had a few fights. I wanna fight in the UFC." What would you advise them as in like an overall, like suggestions to become that sort of level?
Well, I would love to give a sort of like big pumping, like believe in yourself. Da, da, da. Yeah. The reality is, it's very precarious. This is a precarious industry. Nothing is guaranteed. Things can go wrong all the time. Like, you got to be all in. Like, even you've got to acknowledge the fact that this could all go fucking tits up at any given time. You could break your hand. You could get sick. Your whole career could get derailed by one loss. A fighter is a commodity. There's a juxtaposition between Bernard Hopkins and make sure you tell people what your value is, or someone else will tell you and it'll be less. And also the idea a kind of Thai style, the fighter is a commodity. They are owned by the gym, the promoter, and you just do what you're told. Somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot, and you can miss out very, very easily. So I think what you have to accept is that you go all in and you have a backup plan. And the thing that bothered me a lot was people were always telling me, well, why don't you get this qualification? Why don't you look at this industry? Why don't you have this plan B in case it doesn't work out? And it bothered me a lot because I was always thinking you tell me I'm not good enough. You'll tell me I can't make it. But the plan B doesn't mean that I don't believe in you. The plan B just means that things can go tits up with the best will in the world. You can put your best foot forward. You can do the best effort every single day, and it still might not work out. So you can't bet everything on black. You can't play roulette with this. But you still have to go all in.
Yeah,
there's a lot of the things that we'll say as coaches are very contradictory. Right? So go all in without going all in.
Yeah,
it's a big problem. But if you hedge your bets, you're not going to make it. And if you go all in at the expense of everything else, you might end up a total fuck up. It's very hard. So make sure you got something in your pocket, so that it's not everything that you're about.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said this before, but my problem was that I banked absolutely everything on being a successful fighter, up to the point of I banked my entire self-esteem on being a good fighter. So if I wasn't successful as a fighter, I didn't feel like I was worth anything as a person. So if I lost, I was a loser. I didn't deserve to live. I didn't deserve to be loved. I didn't, and so on and so on. And then when I retired, I was I had no purpose in life. I had no meaning. This was it was a real problem. I got very, very depressed, when I lost, and I got very, very depressed when I retired because I had no purpose in life. So it has to be absolutely everything up until the point where the fight's done, and then it's nothing. So it's not you. It's just one small aspect of you. And again, this is
contradiction.
We're pitching a massive contradiction to people. That you have to be absolutely dedicated. You have to be absolutely invested, and also entirely divorced. And this contradiction took me years and years to come to terms with. Until it was kind of the damage was already done. So what I would urge people is to say what you really need is a firm sense of self-esteem, a firm sense of value that's entirely divorced from your ability in fighting, and then go all in on the fighting. For a short period of time. without letting it overtake your entire personality. That's a big ask. And I'm not sure a lot of people are going to be able to do both of those things simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's a good answer.
It is a good answer.
It was a bit of a non-answer as well.
But it was good. It was good. It was a good conversation we had today. I enjoyed having the conversation, and then finding out, because obviously, just it was with your background of fighting, all the experience, the time coaching, obviously coming from the same place I've come from, as well. So it's really good, and I think James would have been interested as well,
Yeah, it was good.
And also, I just want to finish off just saying that I really like Lachlan Giles. And, I don't agree with what Pete said. And if you can get on the podcast, that'd be great.
Yeah, Lachlan, come on the podcast. If you want to come and do a seminar here or something.
Lachlan Giles, stop putting out fucking material. All my students think I'm shit because you're all mates.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you later.